What if the AI boom isn't really a straight line from investment to profit, but a giant circle where Amazon funds OpenAI, OpenAI buys compute, cloud companies buy Nvidia GPUs, and Nvidia puts the money back into the same ecosystem? You heard me right. Looks like something different? No, it isn't. It is the brutal truth. I am talking about the circular economy, which AI companies are putting across and making us believe they're earning billions. That's not the fact. Because there is something very strange happening inside the AI industry right now. AI companies are generating billions in revenue. Investors are throwing hundreds of billions of money into them. Big tech is buying or building data centers across scale and we have never seen before. And yet, cash is disappearing almost as quickly as it arrives, because here is the part nobody talks about it. Lot of AI money is moving in circles. One company invests in AI lab spends the money on cloud infrastructure, AI companies spend that money on cloud infrastructure, the cloud company buys Nvidia GPUs, AI company raises another massive round, and the cycle starts again. So the question isn't, is AI generating revenue? It is absolutely. The much more uncomfortable question is, how much independent economic value is actually being created outside this circle? You heard me right. Right now, there is one company sitting in the middle collecting money almost every time the circle turns. And no surprise guesses, it is Nvidia. Let me get started with the part one, the AI money loop. Look how this ecosystem works. Microsoft invested billions into OpenAI. OpenAI became Microsoft's largest AI infrastructure customer. Amazon committed tens of billions to OpenAI, and OpenAI committed to massive AI AWS infrastructure usage, and Nvidia committed tens of billions to OpenAI. And what does OpenAI need to build and run its models? Compute, right? Lots of it. Much of the highest performance AI infrastructure today is built around Nvidia GPUs. Now let's take an example at another company called CoreWeave. CoreWeave buys massive quantity of Nvidia GPUs, and Nvidia itself owns a significant stake in CoreWeave. And that doesn't mean these deals are fake. These are real companies, real infrastructure, real GPUs, real customers, but financially something fascinating is happening. Money enters from one side of the ecosystem and moves through several companies and eventually comes back as somebody else's revenue. Investors' money becomes AI companies' funding. Cloud spending becomes GPU revenue. And GPU profits gets reinvested into more AI infrastructure. That is the money, rather AI money loop I am talking about. If this loop keeps expanding, everybody looks brilliant on papers. If outside demand fails to grow fast, the entire system starts looking very different and ugly. Let's talk about the revenue, the part two. Revenue is real, so is the cash burn. And this is where most people make the wrong argument. You will hear AI doesn't make money. That's simply not true. OpenAI is generating billions. Anthropic's revenue has exploded. Microsoft is monetizing AI. AWS and Google Cloud are benefiting from AI workloads. They are absolutely real customers and real use cases. But the revenue alone doesn't tell you whether the economics work. OpenAI generated around 5.7 billion in revenue in first quarter of 2026. Sounds quite impressive. But in the same quarter, it burned around to be 3.7 billion in cash. Think about it. You create billions of dollars and simultaneously require billions more just to keep expanding. Training frontier models is expensive, running inference is expensive, running GPU is quite expensive. Building data centers is extremely expensive. Securing electricity is becoming expensive. Networking, cooling, land, power infrastructure, everything costs you money, right? And suddenly companies we consider software businesses are started to look more like industrial infrastructure companies, to put it in simple terms. Let's move on to the big tech model, part three, and this is changing. This may actually be the bigger story. For decades, Silicon Valley have been one of the greatest business models ever invented. Building software, distribute it almost infinitely, and another user at close to zero marginal cost. Margins, massive margins, massive cash flow. AI changes that equation. Every query needs a compute. Every reasoning step needs a compute. Every agent needs compute. Every generated video or music needs compute. Every multimodal interaction you are having needs compute. The smartest these models become, the more infrastructure the industry wants. Hundreds of billions of dollars are being committed to chips, data center, networking, and power. To put it in a simple terms, we are watching some of the history's greatest cash generating companies transform themselves into massive capital intensive businesses. Why? Because none of them can afford to lose AI race. That's simple. Microsoft cannot slow down because Google might win. Google cannot slow down because OpenAI might win. Meta cannot slow down because Google, Anthropic, or OpenAI might dominate. And Amazon cannot slow down because AI could determine the future of cloud computing. So everybody keeps spending, not necessarily because today's return fully justify it, because the strategic cost of not spending could be even more bigger. This is classics arm race economics, to put it in simple terms. And let's move on to the interesting part and my favorite part. And here is Nvidia. Now look at Nvidia. This is where economics becomes completely different. Nvidia doesn't necessarily have to predict which chatbot wins. Claude can win, ChatGPT can win, Gemini can win, AI agents can win, AI video can win, enterprise AI can win. As long as everybody needs accelerated compute, Nvidia sells the picks and shovels. In Nvidia's latest quarterly report, the company generated about 81.6 billion in revenue. That's insane amount of money. Its data center cost business also generated about $75.2 of billions of money, and the gross margin almost 75%. While AI labs fight over users, Nvidia sells infrastructure to honestly to everybody. That's why Nvidia maybe currently have the strongest position in the entire AI economy. It doesn't need one AI company to win. It needs the AI race itself to continue so that they can mint money. Let's talk about the part 5, the massive twist. Except Nvidia isn't completely outside the loop anymore, it is increasingly help finance the ecosystem. Nvidia has committed money across the AI infrastructure landscape. It owns the part of CoreWeave, the company. It has strategic exposure to companies building massive amount of AI compute, and that creates a fascinating incentive. Nvidia wants more AI infrastructure built. More infrastructure means more GPUs. More GPUs simply means Nvidia's more revenue. More Nvidia revenue creates more capital that can be invested back into the ecosystem. And suddenly the company selling the shovels is also financing the part of the gold rush. And again, that doesn't mean Nvidia's revenue is not legitimate. It is clearly is, but it raises most important question in the entire AI boom. But it raises the most important question in the entire AI boom. How much demand exists because customers are generating sustainable economic returns? And how much demand exists because enormous amount of capital is still available to finance the expansion? That distinction matters, because if the end customer eventually refuses to pay for enough for AI, someone in this chain is going to get squeezed, and it's probably won't be the company selling the GPU first. You understood the game, right? Let me come back to something heated, debated topic. AI has no real value is also wrong. Now, here is where I disagree with extreme AI bubble argument. Saying AI has produced zero economic value is ridiculous. Developers are writing code faster, customer support systems are automated, advertising is being optimized, research workflows are changing, and enterprises are deploying agents. AI products have hundreds of millions of users. That's an absolutely something real here, right? But technological usefulness and investment returns are two different things completely. The internet transformed the civilization. Hundreds of internet companies still collapsed during the dot-com crash. Railroads transformed America. Railroad investors still lost fortunes of money. Telecommunications transformed the world. Telecom bubbles still destroyed enormous amount of capital. A technology can change the world and simultaneously be overfunded. Those two things can be true at the same time, and that's the honesty about it. And let's move back to the circular economy. And this is real. And this is why I called this AI economy as AI circular economy, not in the traditional environmental sense. This is a circular economy of capital. Microsoft funds AI, Amazon funds AI, Google funds AI, Nvidia funds AI infrastructure. Private equity firm funds data centers. AI labs use the capital to buy compute. Cloud companies use revenue to build more data centers. Those data centers buy more Nvidia GPUs. Higher Nvidia revenue supports more investment. And valuations rise because everybody sees everyone else is spending as evidence that AI demand is exploding. The loop reinforces itself, right? But the ultimate test is simple. Can enough money eventually come into the ecosystem from outside the loop, from businesses, from consumers, from government, from healthcare, from financial institutions, manufacturing, retail, media, education, you name it? Real customers paying money enough for AI generated productivity to justify trillions of dollars of infrastructure? That's the bigger question. If that happens, this may be one of the greatest investment cycles in the history. And if this doesn't, then lots of today's revenue may turn out to be built on the top of the capital that was simply circulating the system. And let's go back to the original question, the AI bubble question. So I don't think the biggest question is AI a bubble. That's too simplistic, honest, at this point. The better question is, where inside AI are the sustainable economics? At the application layer, maybe; at the model layer, possibly; at the cloud layer, increasingly. But right now, the clearest profit pool appears much closer to the AI infrastructure, that is GPUs, networking, data centers, power, and cooling. And NVIDIA is sitting right in the middle of the stack, which leads to the uncomfortable conclusion. Some AI companies are racing to build smartest intelligence on the earth. Some are racing to own the customer. Some are racing towards AGI. That stands for artificial general intelligence. But NVIDIA is playing smart. NVIDIA is getting paid while everyone else is in the rat race. And that may be the smartest business model in the entire AI boom. So tell me in the comments, is this the beginning of the biggest productivity revolution in the history, or are we watching the biggest capital spend bubble Silicon Valley has ever created? Because I don't think the answer is simply one or the other. I think it could be both. Do let me in the comment section. Hey, if you have not met me, my name is Pritam. I talk about AI and latest trends and productivity hacks. I happen to be a TEDx speaker and AI author as well. Thank you for tuning into the channel, and see you in the next one.